information, visit jdpower.com.
Final day of the year, the Hillsborough Hops here in Boise, and I couldn't resist this opportunity to talk one more time to one of my favorite guys with the Hops, locante. Been great to get to know you and all the players this year. It's just been an incredible season. Your overall thoughts on 2013 and the Hillsborough Hops?
You know what? In a season that started off kind of shaky, you had a bunch of guys, the first year in pro ball, not really sure what to expect. The level is obviously higher than a lot of these guys have played before. But I think it tells a lot about the character of the group of guys, about how we finished the season. A lot of people say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And if you look back in the past at how we started and how we finished, I think that says a whole lot about not only the fight of this team, but the character and the heart that a lot of these guys have shown the last little bit of the season.
Yeah, without question, the last 42 days, entering today, the Hops have the best record in the Northwest League during that span. That says something, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, like I said, it says a lot about what these guys are made of. People are starting to put together good at bats. They're starting to come clutch, with runners on. The talent's always been there. We've always had a good coaching staff and a great group of guys that really mesh. And like I said, the talent's always been there. It just finally started clicking near the end of the season. Unfortunately, a little too late. We didn't get to make the playoffs, but looking back, I'm really proud to be a part of a group of guys that really put together a really strong second half and really made a statement. And I think we turned a lot of heads in the second half.
You mentioned that staff, manager Otto Vicente, hitting coach J.R. House, your pitching coach Doug Drabeck. It seemed to me from my perch up at the broadcast booth and traveling with you guys that they always kept it positive, did they?
Oh yeah, there was never a moment when things got going a little rough. There was never a moment when people started hanging their heads. It was a positive atmosphere. Me specifically, being a pitcher, I'm working with Doug Drabeck, and he's made it all the way to the top. He's been at the top of the top. He won the Cy Young, so he's obviously knows how to battle through adversity, and he knows how to overcome adversity, and he used a lot of his encouraging words to help motivate. I know as pitchers, but J.R. House doing the same thing for the hitters. So yeah, it was a really positive atmosphere here on Hillsborough.
Tom, with locante, you were drafted in 2011, didn't pitch that year, so this is really your second professional season. What have you learned here in 2013?
2013, man, I've learned a lot. I've learned, I used to be all about just grabbing the ball and just throwing it as absolutely as hard as I could. And a lot of times you'll get away with it, but me being a pitcher that comes in late in the game, that's when everything is magnified. So every little mistake is magnified late in the game. So you got to really be able to fill your position, hold runners on, throw your breaking ball for strikes, and I think I've improved in all of those aspects. I've learned a lot this year. I've had my ups, I've had my downs, like everyone else. Biggest thing is just staying positive, being a good teammate, and when things seem to be falling apart around you, don't look to yourself. Look to your teammates and pick someone else up, because when it's tough for you, you're going to want someone to pick you up too. And I think that's been probably the biggest thing I've taken from this year is just really becoming a good teammate and trying to help other players before I get to myself.
Well, that's good. That's a good attitude to take, not just on the baseball field, but throughout life. When people retire from the game, they always say it's not the games they miss, but it's the camaraderie with the guys. Talk about that. Some of the funny things that happened in the clubhouse this year.
Man, one of the things I'm going to miss most when I'm done playing baseball, I know it's bad at the time, but the long bus trips, the things that are said and the things that are done on the bus trips, the way people sleep.
Who's the funniest sleeper?
Funniest sleeper, probably Gutierrez. Yosbel Gutierrez is hilarious. Yogi's hilarious. we got a bunch of really funny guys on this team. It's hard to like pick out a specific player that really sticks in my mind, but you know what? And that's a good thing. That says a lot about a team too, because you know if you're picking out specific guys, that means there's probably not really a good mesh, because you know, like I said, everyone on this team kind of just like feels like they click together, they bond together. So we got a great group of guys. Funny moments, man. There was a lot of funny moments. For some reason, Ty Linton always cracks me up. Soto's hilarious. I think this past bus trip, Ty Linton brought a yoga mat to sleep on the bus floor. That was funny. And then he woke up, he was like missing his shirt, he was missing his sandals. But you know, everyone's asleep, so we don't know really what happened.
And nobody's owned up to it yet.
No one's owned up to it. Nope. But yeah, you know what? Like you said, when you leave, you're gonna miss the camaraderie. You're gonna miss the guys. You're gonna miss the extra inning games. You're gonna miss all that stuff. And you're right. You're gonna, more so than the game, you're gonna miss the guys that you got to meet and you got to enjoy spending time with. So you know, when that time comes, and I hope it's not for a while, you know, God willing. But when looking back on it, you know, I'm really gonna miss a lot of these guys that the Diamondbacks have so fortunately given me the opportunity to come in contact with and meet.
Talking with Will Locante, you guys have been together for almost 7 months now. Late February, early March, you guys show up to spring training, and then you're out throughout extended spring, and then the new guys come in June, guys who were just drafted, and everybody's been together since then. And then when you get off the bus tonight back in Hillsborough, it'll be a fist bump or a hug, and I love you, bro, and then that's pretty much it. You don't see a lot of these guys until next spring training, and many of them you may not see again in the same organization. Is that a little weird to be with guys so much for such a long period of time, and then boom, it's all done?
Yeah, you know, it was interesting because, you know, I started after spring training, you know, I got to know a lot of these guys even more than I knew in the years past. And then, you know, I got shipped out to South Bend after spring training broke. And so I was with one group of guys and got to meet, you know, got to mesh and be with that group of guys for so long. And then I come to Hillsborough, and it's a completely different dynamic. But yeah, you're right. It's one of those things where, you know, you make plans in the off season. I think there's a bunch of guys on this team, and that's, like I said, this goes back to, you know, how well of a group of guys they put together here in Hillsborough, because we have a group of guys already planning a trip with each other to go on like a cruise or just something, you know, something outside baseball, so we could really, because you know we like hanging out with each other. You know,
How many guys?
Probably like 10 or 11. You know, I know Ty Linton's coming to Nashville. We have me, Ty, Gebhardt, and Randy. We have a group of guys that we like to call the Tap Bros, because we like tattoos. We're passionate about tattoos for some reason. And so I know Ty's coming to Nashville, and we're thinking about maybe getting a tattoo. You know, not the same thing, but going to the same place and getting a tattoo at the same time. So, you know, like I said, it's a special group of guys here. But yeah, you know, it's going to be weird. You're with these guys so much time, and all of a sudden it's like you go back to your house. You know, you're with your mom and dad. You're so happy to see your mom and dad and your friends back home. But you know, in about a week, you're going to be saying, you know, I can't wait for spring training. I can't wait to get back with these guys and you know, go out to eat with these guys, and you know, just sit in the clubhouse and you know, share stories with these guys, and you know, and it's gonna be tough. You know, it's always tough saying goodbye, but you know, the saying is, you know, it's not goodbye, it's see you later. So that's the kind of the aspect you're going to have to take with it.
Talking with Will Locante, when will you guys finalize your plans on that trip you're going to take?
You know what? John Leonard is actually in charge, so who knows when that's going to be done. For a lot of us, we have to go to Instructs first, so it's got to at least be a month or two. But if it doesn't get finalized before I get out of Instructs, I'll probably take over and plan it for us. But yeah, trying to get a cruise somewhere in the Caribbean, and we're talking about maybe getting a flight to the Dominican Republic and going to Punta Cana, and then on the way picking up some of our Dominican players that we have that live there, and we'll go hang out with them too. So it should be a good time if it goes through.
Yeah, that's great. That's one thing I noticed about that clubhouse. There's not a divide between the Latin players and the non-Latin players. Seems like everybody's one group.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, in baseball, you know, baseball is one. You know, everyone speaks the same language. They say, you know, baseball is it's a beautiful game. You know, it brings people of all different, you know, backgrounds together. And like you said, there's no divide. And I honestly don't even see those guys as, Latino players, or they're from this place or this place. Everyone's just, we're a team. Everyone's the same. You get to a lot of those guys. It's crazy, because they're brought up differently than we are. You see how big of hearts these guys have, and like these guys really care about you. So you don't, like you said, you don't see them as you don't divide yourself from them. As more you bring them into your lives more, and then you look at them more as your brothers rather than just a teammate.
All right, Will, 17 years doing this is as much fun as I've ever had. Thanks for a great season, and good luck in Instructional League during the off season and as you progress in your career.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been fun.
All right, that's Will Locante. Back with more on the Les Schwab Tires pregame show. Final day of the year on this Labor Day from here in Boise. We'll be back in just a moment.
DoubleTree by Hilton recognizes